Hello and welcome to this session where we look at the IELTS test and we'll try and understand what the test, how the test is scored, how what it tests, what are the different components, etc. So let's get started. Well, my name is Farooq and I welcome you once again for this session. All right, so that's the agenda for this session. We are looking at the test. We are looking to understand what the test is. We are looking at the versions of the test and the components that those are tested, which is nothing but your skills. And primarily there are 4 of them, and how the test is scored as well. Now, for those of us who don't know what IELTS is, it is the International English Language Testing System. It's a language assessment tool to measure the proficiency of those who want to work or study in an English-speaking country. It is only a measurement of one's language ability and nothing else, because a lot of us, I've seen a lot of students, a lot of people associating um, test with how intelligent one is definitely not the case. And in terms of the scoring, just a basic understanding, we have a 9-band scale and it identifies one's level of proficiency. So you have band 1, that's a non-user, to band 9, that's an expert user. It's owned by Cambridge University, British Council, and IDP Australia. All right, some numbers really quickly. We had 3.5 million test takers in 2018, about 48 test centers, test dates in a year. So it happens throughout the year. You should be able to get in, and write the test um, quite you should be able to get the test dates very frequently. And of course it is accepted in over 10,000 over 10,000 institutions across over 140 countries around the world. These numbers, of course, taken from the IELTS.org website, the official website for the IELTS test. All right, why do we have to take the test, or why are we looking at the session, or why are we studying about the test? Is because we want to study or work or move to a country which where English is the first language, or the majority spoken by the majority of people, is the official language, etc. And why IELTS test in particular? Because there are quite a few others as well. We do the IELTS test because it's fair. We have accents from around the world, and it's widely available. We just saw that there are test centers in pretty much every major city in the world. It's available throughout the year. It's also reliable because IELTS test follows a very strict process. There's and also biometric security that ensures integrity of the test. There's face-to-face interview for a real-life context. You get to speak to a live person and not speaking to a computer like a few other tests. All right, let's look at the test itself. Let's try and understand what the test is and what it does. So as I mentioned earlier, it assesses a person's proficiency in 4 language skills. And what are the language skills? Those are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. We will talk about them in detail, but there are 2 versions of the test, and that's important as well because we need to choose the right one. And once you write the test, you receive a band score in each of the 4 skills, and then an overall band score as well. Universities, organizations, and immigration agencies have different score requirements, so it's important for us to uh, look at the score requirements before we give the test or start practicing it. So we have a certain direction in which we can practice. All right, so I was talking about the types of tests that are that's important to choose as well right at the beginning when you're registering for the test. We have the academic version, which is for people seeking to study at colleges or universities for higher education. And why academic? Because it reflects some features of the academic language, and looks at ways to or assesses if you're ready to study or to be trained in a certain skill. The general training version of the test is for those who are looking to work in countries or migrate to countries like Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, or the US. It focuses on basic skills in social context or workplace contexts. And very recently, we also have had a very successful implementation of the IELTS computer delivered test. So now we do have both these available for those who are more comfortable with paper based test, or those with a computer who prefer computer over paper. The difference between the two is just in terms of some really logistical aspects, like for example the results. The computer delivered test, you are able to get the results in 5 days, while a paper based test is 13 days, so you get the results faster. There's more flexibility when it comes to computer delivered, because you are able to choose different times, and you're able to choose the dates, and it's available a lot more than a paper based test, because paper-based test is generally conducted on a Saturday or a Thursday. And also, of course, if you're more comfortable with the computer, if you're good at typing, computer-based test is better for you. All right, those are the two choices we have, and let's look at what the test assesses. What does it do? As we spoke some time back, we have 4 different skills that the IELTS test measures, or any language test measures. Those are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Now, listening and reading, we call them the receptive skills, because you are receiving information. You're not producing information, like the productive skills, like the writing and speaking. Listening has 4 sections, 40 questions in it. You have about 30 minutes that you listen to the audio, and then 10 minutes to transfer your answers into the answer sheet. Remember, this is for a paper-based test. For a computer-based test, you get 2 extra minutes to review your answers. Now, the next one is the reading. You get 3 passages or 3 sections, depending on the academic version or the general training version. You have, again, 40 questions, and you get 60 minutes, no extra time for transferring the answers. Really important there to take note of that point. So listening is 30 minutes, reading is 60 minutes. Please note that listening is the same for general and academic students, and reading is different for general and academic, because they're looking at, or they are assessing different things. The next is the writing test. You get 60 minutes again, and you have 2 tasks. Task 1 for a general training candidate is a letter, and for an academic candidate is a report writing, a summary of some sort. While task 2, again, is common for both, and it's an essay that you'll have to write for about for a minimum of 250 words. The last component of the test is speaking. You have 3 parts, and it is general introduction, a cue card, and a discussion. Now, as I mentioned earlier, listening is the same test for both general training candidates and academic, and speaking is the same as well. The difference lies in reading and writing. Okay, there's different questions or different question papers that you get for reading and writing, and it really depends. It assesses different things in the language. All right, so the total test time is 2 hours 45 minutes. You do not get a break in between. I'm sorry, that's 2 hours 45 minutes is for reading, writing, and listening. Speaking is conducted on usually at a different time, maybe before the writing test, or a day after, or sometimes even on the day of the LRW, which is listening, reading, and writing. So there you have it. Those are the different um, components of the test, different skills that are tested in a language. And it's really important for us to score good bands in each of these, because an average is what you have the overall band. So that's those are the skills that we have. All right. So as we were speaking about scoring, remember there's no a pass or a fail score in IELTS. You're scored basically, you're given a band scale, which represents different levels. And so as we I think mentioned earlier, we have band 1 is a non-user, and band 9 is an expert user. So some examples there: band 8 is a very good user and good user for band 7. As I mentioned, each section, which is listening, reading, writing, and speaking, is given a band score, and then an average is an overall band score that you get. And then every time once you write the test, it's valid for 2 years. However, some institutions also accept your score even if it is more than 2 years, but it's generally speaking, it's for 2 years. And you can retake the test as often as you wish. um, However, it's always important to do some really good practice, uh, because this will help you improve the band score if that's what you're looking at. So it's good to have some guidance sometimes, or you could also do some self-study, but it's nice to have some guidance, some direction when you're practicing. All right, so that's the end of this session, small session where we looked at the different components of the test, different versions of the test. It's important that we choose the right version, the academic or general training, because that's what your test report form will mention, and based on the requirements. So if you're applying for a university, as we mentioned, you go in for a academic test and general training otherwise. 4 skills that are tested are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. These are the 4 skills that are assessed, and you get a band score for each of these modules, each of these skills, and an overall average is your overall score. So that's it in this session. I hope you found it useful and informative. Thank you.